Hello and welcome to another edition of the Are You Ready Wrestling podcast. A very special edition this week. We are joined, first of all, as ever, by Jack. Afternoon, Jack. How are we
Good
doing?
afternoon. Yeah, good. Thank you.
We okay? We ready for this?
Yes, I'm slightly a bit nervous, but I'll be all right.
We'll be fine. We'll be fine. That's because we are joined by an 18-year-old prodigy who went viral last year and is a very prominent figure in the local wrestling scene, who I think is destined for big things in his future. Leon Cage joins us on the podcast. How are we doing, Leon? We okay?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm all right. Really looking forward to getting you on. It's been a long time coming this, so really looking forward to just having a chat to you about all things wrestling and your career so far.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, our pleasure. So for those who might be listening to this podcast for the first time and might not know who you are, can you just introduce yourself for us, please?
So I am Leon Cade. I am a 18-year-old professional wrestler based in South Wales.
Well, the first type of question I want to ask is, at what age did you decide that wrestling was the right option for you?
So, for me, wrestling's been around my entire life. So, my earliest memory of wrestling was when I was 2 years old. And I watched Shawn Michaels wrestling The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. And it's like a dream that stays with me forever.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with wrestling. I was crying at the end of the match. I was gutted Shawn Michaels didn't win. And from that moment, I said I want to be a professional wrestler my entire life. I always wanted it.
From the age of 2?
Yes.
Well, that kind of leads us into our next question. Obviously, we're going to ask what made you decide to take up wrestling, but I think you've perfectly explained it there. When did you kind of start learning to wrestle? If you fell in love with it from the age of 2, is it something you've always been doing in your back garden on the trampoline, or?
Yeah. So I used to have like a toy shark, like a little soft shark.
Okay.
It was quite tall. It was bigger than me. And I used to just wrestle the shark on my bed, as if my bed was the ring, when I was like 5, 6, growing up. And then when I was 12, I did my first professional wrestling training session.
Oh, wow.
And I was very fortunate that I trained, and it was only a few weeks before the global pandemic hit and shut everything down.
Mm.
Okay.
And then from there, obviously there was 2 years out where I had like a gap of no training. And then once it all opened back up, I got back to training, and I started then with New Way. And from there, it's just blown up.
Well, what was that kind of like, having that gap between training, obviously, as you mentioned, during the pandemic? How long did you go without stepping into a professional wrestling ring?
It was about 2 years, I think. Like, before it shut down, I was 12. And then it opened back up, I was 15. So it was somewhere in the 2 years gap, because my birthday was quite soon between it.
You just mentioned about wrestling the shark on your bed. Who would win? Was it you or was it the shark?
Me every time. Me every time.
Of course.
Well, the next question I wanted to ask, why particularly did you choose the theme Centuries by Fall Out Boy as your theme?
So this is actually a great question. So I don't actually listen to like rock music really.
Okay.
I prefer like house dance music, to be honest with you. Like all upbeat stuff. I don't mind. I'll listen to any music, to be honest with you. I enjoy listening to music. Great. But when it came to having like a theme song, I just found the category of like what actually like resembles me. And I was listening to a lot of songs, and I hear that song plenty of times before. It's quite a known song. And I just listened to it once, and it just got click. And from that point, I was like, yeah, this is what I should come out to. This is the theme I should have. And I think it suits me quite well, so I'm happy with it.
It really does. And what were some of the other contenders then? If you had a few that you were kind of picking between, what was the honourable mentions? If you can remember that far back.
I don't remember. Like, it was very much sort of a situation of getting told in a week before the show.
Okay.
Oh, you're actually on the show.
Yeah.
Get some gear and get a song.
Wow.
And I was like, oh god, here we go. I don't have anything.
Mm.
I just managed to get some sort of gear. I had knee pads. I had to get some kick pads.
Yeah.
And then music was like the biggest one though, because I didn't want to get into a situation where I kind of was going out to the curtain, but I didn't know what was going to happen.
Mm.
So I was like, right, what can I settle on here? I can't really remember what else there was. There was a few. It was about like 10 songs that I had there. I was like, oh, this could be good. But then I listened to like Centuries and I was like, no, that's the one.
Mm.
That's the one.
And as you say, that kind of, it does resemble yourself
Yeah.
as a prodigy and looking to be remembered for centuries. And it
Yeah.
introduces yourself, doesn't it, to potentially if you're wrestling in front of a new audience or for a new promotion, definitely introduces yourself just in a song, really, doesn't it?
Yes. Yes, it definitely does. Definitely.
You mentioned earlier about training and learning wrestling at New Wave. We spoke to Brendan White a couple of months ago here on the podcast, and he spoke glowingly about you at the time. You're coming out of the pandemic. You're 15. You're looking to take up wrestling again now. Everything's back open. Why did you choose New Wave? What was it about New Wave for you?
This is quite a funny story. So I trained previously in a place quite local to me. And James Ellis was there.
Okay.
And then obviously the pandemic hit. It all opened back up. There was a little few dull weeks. But then James was getting around all over the place. He was starting to blow up.
Yeah.
And I mean, rightfully so, he's fantastic. But obviously I've known James. I met him, spoke to him. So I just started asking him. And I was kind of like forcing my way. I was like, can I train? Can I come train? Can I come train? And I was 15, so at the time they were like 16 plus limits.
Mm.
And then as soon as I turned 16, I was like, right, I'm 16. Where do I apply? And Brendan got back in contact and said, come down for like a session, whatever you are, and never turned back since.
Mm. How frustrating, if it was frustrating at all, was it when you're that 15-year-old looking to get into wrestling and you're being turned away from training schools and things like that?
Yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard to take. And I mean, we're lucky now, like Newark has like teen class, stuff like that,
Yeah.
which is awesome. And I would absolutely love to have that when I was younger. And I'm really, really glad we have it now. But yeah, it's very hard. I mean, especially when everyone else was playing like football, rugby, you can do these other sports, but it's not necessarily what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Going back to our conversation with Brendan last year, he tipped you as a ones to watch. What's it like having not just Brendan? Obviously, you've got people like Wild Bull there. You've got Danny Loon, obviously wrestling in TNA. You've got Mark Andrews down in Cardiff. What's it like having these experts around you who have been there in TNA, WWE? Mark Andrews popped up for AEW doing backstage stuff where they were in Cardiff last year. What is it like having those kind of mentors around you who have been at the top level?
I mean, I'm so lucky. Like everyone from around this area, anyone who trains there, we're so lucky because we have absolutely miles knowledge. We have so much wrestling knowledge to take and get different experiences, thought, feedback from. Then you can just put it all together into a ball and create your own own sort of mind for wrestling from your coaching, and that no one could ever complain. Like you're offered the best level of coaching, really in the world.
On that kind of subject, around the All In Time last year, New Wave Cardiff, you were there. You had a special visit from the CEO of professional wrestling, Mercedes Monet, came down. What was that experience like for you? Obviously, she was one of the most prominent figures at the pay-per-view at Wembley Stadium in front of about 50,000 people, and the week before she's down training in Cardiff with you guys. What was that like for you?
So it was very crazy because the session itself, it was just sort of a situation of we were turning up And on the way, Mark sort of like made a group chat and like voice noted us. And we never really have that. It's always sort of like chilling. We just turn up, get there, everyone's happy. And we were sort of like, oh, it's training cancelled. What's happening? And then the voice note is that Mercedes Monet, Sasha Banks is going to be at training tonight. And we're all kind of like, oh, that is, oh, good God.
Yes.
And like, it's hard to know how, like, it's not hard to know how to act. Especially when someone like WrestleMania main event
Yes.
walks in the room.
Yeah.
It just becomes awesome. And I was so lucky I had the chance to like wrestle around with her for a bit. It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, well, what was kind of going through your head when you had that text to say that it was Mercedes Monet coming down for training?
I was just super excited. I was really, really buzzed. Because anytime you get a chance like that, you just, again, like going back to what you said about the training, when we're offered stuff like this, you can never complain. You can never complain. Because it's literally like once in a lifetime opportunities that you get. And to share the ring with someone who's got WrestleMania main events, I mean, you can't be unhappy at all with any training there.
And then she gave you guys a shout out at the media scrum afterwards as well.
Yeah.
That must have been pretty cool to see.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's such a lovely person. It was very, very, very thankful I got to meet her and train with her.
In regards to that, what did you learn from your experience training with Mercedes?
I learned so much. I learned so much. I mean, one of the things that always stuck with me is that I did like martial arts when I was younger, and I grew up throughout martial arts. That's my second at black belt. And training was always like the key. You always have to keep training because you can never get to a point where you're too good to train.
Yeah.
And that just proves the point again. When someone who has done everything, she's literally completed wrestling.
Yes.
Literally completed wrestling. And when she's still turning up to places in Wales and helping us guys, I mean, it just shows how selfless she really is.
Going back to Brendan, kind of what he said when he came on, he tipped the likes of Tilly Rose, Duke Denham, Tommy Vril as well, some other young up-and-coming wrestlers within New Wave. Is it fair to say that there's a bit of a golden generation of Welsh professional wrestlers on the rise at the moment?
Definitely. I think wrestling itself is at such a good point now. And everyone's saying it with WWE being on Netflix, AEW being televised every week, TNA being televised every week. I mean, we're literally at a point where wrestling is at the highest level it's ever been.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's only just showing even more through the independence, through training. And everyone is just rising up in a talent level.
Are you kind of noticing the almost rise of wrestling over the past 2 or 3 years in terms of crowd sizes, in terms of people coming into training? Is there that increase in fan base and audience for professional wrestling?
Definitely, I think so. I think the British scene, like independent wrestling scene now as well, is at one of the highest points it's ever been. Coming back for that like 2017 spree.
Yes, just around the NXT UK kind of time. And one of the most prominent figures on the UK independent scene is Michael Oku, who I seen wrestle in a dark match for AEW. I know he had a match of the year contender against Will Ospreay last year. You were lucky enough to get in the ring with him, weren't you? How many times have you wrestled him so far?
So I wrestled him twice, and they were in very short amounts. Like, I had a big build to this first match. I knew if I wrestled him, which one of my favorite matches. It was in my mind like the perfect match for what we had. It was amazing. It was truly amazing. Michael is the best. He's the best. And then I had the chance only a month later to wrestle him at Revolution Pro in London. Just even bigger again.
Wow.
And I mean, it was truly sensational. Truly sensational. I'm so thankful I have the opportunities I have.
Yeah, going back to kind of what we spoke about with Mercedes, what did you learn? What did you learn from this match, kind of being in the ring with someone who's shared the ring with Will Ospreay and has been in AEW? Did he kind of help you through it? Did he kind of give you pointers and things like that?
Definitely, definitely. Like, the advice you get is invaluable. It's just
Mm-hmm.
perfect. I mean, the timing, the way he moves around, the way he's so composed. Everything he does is at such a high standard that for me to be in the ring with him and start to learn the standards there, just so thankful for what I have. So thankful for everyone around me who helps me get these opportunities.
And I think that's kind of something that Brendan said, is he likes wrestlers like yourself and New Wave to get out there and go to these different promotions and go around Europe and around the world, and he lets you does that, doesn't
Yeah.
he? Does he encourage that as well?
He encourages it by a mile.
Mm.
All the coaches, Brendan, Wild Ball, Danny Jones, Danny Luna, Nico Andrews, everyone just supports you in every decision you make. It's perfect. I was so thankful in November that I got to wrestle across Europe as well, Netherlands, Germany. At the start of this year, my first match was in France. It's so cool.
I know Jack kind of wanted to ask you about that, didn't you?
Yes. How was your experience wrestling in France?
It was amazing. Again, like, one of the best crowds I've wrestled in front of. Just how atmospheric the crowd was. You just, again, invaluable. Such a cool experience to be there.
Yeah,
It was perfect.
Yeah, we've seen when WWE went over there for Backlash last year, the crowd that they had there was singing all night long. Was that the same for the independent scene over there?
Definitely, definitely. And it was so cool to be on the same show with the likes of like Trevor Lee, especially because I grew up watching Trevor Lee wrestling, having the chance to meet him and watch him wrestle on the same show I was on. It's so cool.
Who else was on that show? I seem to remember that. Was it a bit of a supercard for the independent scene?
There was a lot of people on that show. It was awesome. ABC Captures, their shows are awesome. Every show they ever do is just, it's like a supercard. Every single one. They're just amazing.
Now, moving on to kind of keeping on topic of moving around Europe and things like that, obviously you've been on a bit of a weight loss journey over the past couple of months, years, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Kind of
Definitely have.
How's that been? Because is there another wrestler within New Wave is helping you with that?
Yes. So Hunter Moore is the wrestler that helped me do my weight loss journey.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, something that's just so valuable to me now. Because especially the move went viral for me and it sort of changed everything that I've had, and it just improved everything there. That the coaches sat me down New Wave and they said, look, if you're serious now, this is the only path you can take is to just get yourself in better shape. And you'll only ever be thankful for it. And they said, this isn't advice that you have to take. It's not necessarily going to like change your life in the sense of, you know, eating differently just because you want to get like a weight loss journey. It was sort of personal wrestling ability, the way you move quicker, more agile, faster movements. I mean, everything, it just benefits you in such a way that, I mean, for me, it has changed my life. It was absolutely incredible. And since August last year, I've been on a diet plan, gym plan, strictly focused, and it's really changed my life.
How difficult is it though to kind of stick to it, and how much discipline does it take? Because for me personally speaking, I'm on a weight loss journey as well at the moment. It is difficult, isn't it, when you see how many calories you've got left, but fancying some chocolate or something like that. How difficult has it
Yeah.
been though for you, that kind of discipline and self-motivation almost?
So I was really bad as well. Like, I was doing so much sport that I could afford to just eat a couple of chocolate bars here and there, and I could get away with it. But when it got stripped away from me, when I was cutting down,
Yeah.
it was serious. I struggled quite a lot. I thought the first few weeks were definitely the hardest.
Yes.
And once you start like getting into a routine of it, for me now, when I eat off my diet plan, it doesn't feel right for me. I feel a little bit off. I feel a little bit out of it. When I'm on the diet plan, I feel better myself personally. But then again, I always have like cheat meals, and I still have time to enjoy food in the sense away from my diet plan while being on a focus.
What is your favourite cheat meal?
My favorite cheat meal,
Yes.
Domino's pizza.
Oh,
It's amazing.
any particular one or just Domino's pizza, full stop?
Particular one. I like the chicken feast. That's a very
Okay.
good one.
Okay.
Okay.
I like a chicken feast. But then again, any pizza I will eat. It's my favorite food. Any pizza.
You mentioned earlier about kind of being told that this is kind of serious and it'll help you become more agile and a bit stronger in the ring and things like that. How have you noticed during your process so far in your journey, how much have you noticed your ability almost in the ring change? Are you more agile and are you a little bit stronger? Are there any other elements to it that you've noticed?
Oh, definitely. Everything is improved. It keeps on, especially with the opportunities, everything just keeps on leveling up to such a higher standard. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see, and I enjoy like getting to watch my matches back. I'm quite happy with them. And sometimes I can be my worst nightmare in the sense of like, I'll watch it back and I'm not happy. I could have done this better. I could have done that better. But when you can watch it back, and I also feel more confident in myself, if that helps. Like, I was never struggling. I never struggled with confidence. But now walking out the curtain and feeling a bit more confident in the sense of my looks, I'm more comfortable, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100% get you. So, so you've had 110 matches last year alone. You've had, how many matches you've had so far this year?
So this year, great question. I think we are reaching around the 20 mark, maybe
Okay.
22.
Yeah.
Okay, and we're only in the second weekend of February.
Yeah.
For yourself as an 18-year-old who's gone into this business relatively young, how important is it for you to be out on the road wrestling Friday, Saturday, Sunday? I know last night you were participating in a Pro Wrestling Noah trial. We'll come on to that in a little bit, but yeah, how important is it to get out there multiple times a weekend to kind of build up that ring experience almost?
Yeah. I mean, it's probably the key to getting better. Because training is where the work happens.
Yeah.
And then personally, I feel where the shows is where the execution happens. And your training can get so high standard, but if execution isn't there, you're not reaching the most out of what you can do. So if you're getting these, if your like repetition of execution is higher, you're getting to do more. You're getting to wrestle more, and then you're gonna get more confident, more comfortable while doing it, more composed, and it's gonna level up again because you're not as nervous, not as worried. That's basically how I feel.
Is that something you'd also encourage to other wrestlers, maybe who are just starting New Wave, or other young wrestlers that you might come into contact with?
Yes, by 1,000%. And it's what my coaches said to me, is to try and get to wrestle as many times as you can. Wrestle everywhere.
Yeah.
And when you get to such a comfortable spot, then you can start making things harder. Then you can start making things bigger, and it's worked a treat for me. I never ever not trust in my trainers because I trust them 1000% with my body.
Out of all the matches that you've wrestled so far, I know this might be a hard one, but what would you say is your favourite match?
Oh, so I think I have a couple of favourites.
Okay.
It's very hard to like rank your matches in the sense of like what was the best
Yeah.
and what was your favourite. So I did a match. I'll go in like chronological order.
Okay.
I did a match with Shane Hooker. Very new into New Wave. It was my third match there, and it was awesome. It really changed wrestling then for me, and it really leveled me up in a point. And especially with Shane, he's one of my best mates. So to share the ring with him every time, absolutely love it. It's real fun. And then moving on, I wrestled. That match with Michael Oku was just perfect. The one at New Wave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, like even higher level. And then from there, I think it's even stepped up again with the one I wrestled Michael at RevPro.
Yes.
Got to a higher level for me. And from RevPro standards, I had a match with Robbie X, which I absolutely loved. I wrestled Ricky Knight Jr. last week, which was awesome. And 2 weeks ago, I wrestled Leon Slater at the 229, which was
nice.
top level.
Yeah, another wrestler coming through at the moment, isn't it? That's destined for good things.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is it like though working for RevPro? Arguably the biggest UK independent wrestling promotion out there. What was that like when you got the phone call to say that you're going to be wrestling for them?
So it was really like mind blowing for me because I did not feel ready. I was just rolling with my life, and I was really hoping that I would get the opportunity, but it came a lot sooner than I expected. When I actually got the call, I was on the flight. I was getting to the airport on the way to Amsterdam.
Oh wow!
And I was wrestling in Amsterdam the next day, and the RevPro show was the next day after that. So I was going to be staying in Amsterdam and going from Amsterdam to Germany, which then we had to arrange flight for me to get back to England, into Coventry, and then back from Coventry to Amsterdam to have my flight to Germany. But it was the best weekend. It was perfect, and every single show I do for RevPro, I feel honoured to be there, and it's so much fun.
Are there any names in the kind of the RevPro circuit that you haven't wrestled yet that you would like to wrestle? Is there any almost like a Cody Rhodes list? Yeah,
there's a lot. I'd love to like wrestle Luke Jacobs, Zoya. So many. I mean, everyone really there. Everyone. Anyone who's on the show, I'd be so happy to wrestle. Again, I'm just happy to be on the show.
Yes.
I'm just super happy to be there. So to have the awesome names that I get to wrestle, I'm so thankful.
We touched a little bit upon it earlier, but last night you were at the For Love of Wrestling event up in Manchester. First of all, biggest wrestling convention in Europe. I know there were legends like Mick Foley in town and Sting, I think, was there. Did you get to see any of that at all? Did you have a look around?
I didn't actually get to see it. Unfortunately. I got to see the setup and the way it was set up, but when we did the tryout, no one was actually there. It was just sort of sent for the tryout.
But yeah, as you mentioned, there was a tryout, wasn't there, for Pro Wrestling Noah, one of the most prominent promotions in Japan.
Yes.
Have you ever wrestled in Japan before we go into this at all?
No, I haven't. But it's one of my biggest dreams is to wrestle in Japan. I
Yeah.
grew up and I watched Japan.
Mm.
AJ Styles has always been my favorite wrestler.
Yeah.
And when he was in New Japan, it was like perfect.
Mm.
So to
Yeah.
wrestle in Japan would be a dream.
Well, that dream might be about to be realised, mightn't it?
Yeah,
Potentially.
it could be. It could be. It could be.
Do you want to talk us through it? Because, as you mentioned, you were successful in the Pro Wrestling Noah tryouts. Was there 3 of you that were selected?
So there was one person that selected, but me and Shane were in the final 3 stations
Okay.
for them,
Yeah.
which is super cool.
But who was selected then?
There was a boy called Archie that was selected. He's a really nice boy, and I hope it all goes really well for him, and I hope the best for him.
Mm. But for you to get down to that final 3, what was that like for you? That must be some kind of a bit of an achievement, although you got so close but yet so far. Even to get that far recognised by a promotion like Noah, and maybe they might come calling in the future.
Yeah, we had that chat with them afterwards about maybe another time, and they seemed really happy with it. So hopefully, I mean, there's something there for the future. I mean, maybe just because it's not now, it doesn't mean not forever. So, I mean, that's always something to look forward for.
Mm.
But the tryout itself was perfect. It was super, super cool to get selected to be in the final decision. And I mean, I wasn't expecting it at all. And it caught me off by surprise, really. I was really happy with it. And it was great. It was a really, really good experience. And I would never have not done it.
Yeah.
Talk us through how a tryout works. We see them all the time with different promotions, but how does one actually work? We only see clips and whatever they want to show us, but we don't actually get to see the full thing. Talk us through what a tryout does look like for a wrestler.
So the tryout, it's quite intimidating.
Okay.
That's the word I used for a tryout, is it's quite intimidating. You don't know what's going to happen. When you do the tryout, I mean, every tryout is really different. But when we did that one, you sort of came in, you showed a little bit of athleticism through doing some rolls, a little bit of rolls. Then you came in, did a little bit of sort of technical wrestling.
Okay.
Into some sort of bit more wrestling. And then we ended up doing some tag matches.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that split us down into a final 6. Then they said, show us your best thing. We all did that. They cut us down to a final 3, and then they picked a winner from there.
Talking of arguably your best move, it went viral last year, didn't it?
Yes.
Obviously, we're talking about your finisher. What is the finisher actually called?
Stomp into the future.
Stomp into the future. I like that. At what point did you realise it was something special? Was it when you started practicing it? Was it when you first see it be shared by some prominent wrestling journalists? I think it got shared by, I'm sure, Sean or Sapper Fightful shared it. Chris Van Vliet shared it. You probably tell us exactly who shared it. At what point did you realise you had something on your hands?
So, when I did it, it was just an idea that was in my head. And I just thought, I don't know if this works, but there's no harm in trying. And I tried like telling some people, I think this would work. And they just tell me, no, that won't work. That won't work. So then I gave it a go in training before the session started, went up a little bit early to do some extra cardio. Just thought, let's give it a try while the ropes are up. Let's give it a go. And it just worked. The first time, it just clicked, just worked. And I thought, okay, perfect. I did a match and I used it in the match. And the boy I did it to, Tommy Bro, he put it up on TikTok. And within like several minutes, it got like 20k views.
Oof.
And it got to a point where he messaged me, he was like, you really need to put this up. This is getting crazy views. And I was like, no, the quality's not good. I need to do it again and get a better camera shot.
Yes.
And he was, no, you don't need to. Just Just put it up. Trust me, it's getting mad views. So I put it up on Instagram, and within minutes, Mark was texting me, Mark Andrews, saying, "You don't have a Twitter.
Yeah.
Send it to me. I will put this on Twitter." I was like, "Okay, I guess so. There's no harm in that." And my Instagram was already blowing up. Like, I had the best of the best wrestlers across the UK commenting, sharing. I didn't really know what was going on. But then Mark went on Twitter, and the same sort of effect happened, where it started blowing up instantly. So I had to download. Mark said in it, he's like, "Look, you need Twitter." So I download Twitter. I get it up. I post it up on there as well with my account. And I kid you not, I didn't sleep that night. My phone was like exploding.
Really?
Wow.
It was so full. I had to like take the case off it. It was crazy. I had people like emailing my email saying that it was awesome. I had people commenting, messaging, and then obviously in America the time zones are different, so
Of course.
Yeah.
we're actually sleeping because it was about midday for the 6 o'clock for them.
Mm.
So then I see like Don Callis sharing it,
Oof.
and I have like Will Ospreay sharing it. Oh, it was amazing. Chris Van Vliet sharing it. It was awesome, and it just blew up instantly.
Mm. Did any of those guys reach out? If so, what did they say?
I had a few people reach out, and the main one that I always say is just because I always watched him when I grew up as a younger boy. Is Will Ospreay.
Okay.
And have him reach out to me and tell me that I'm doing great and just to keep up my good work and still be creative. It was just awesome. It was really, really cool. And I had a nice conversation with him. And yeah, he's such a legend.
He is. He's a legend of the British independent scene as well. He talked about going to wrestle in Japan and all that. I think he probably wrestled close to 100 matches last year as well, between everything that he's doing at the moment. Is he kind of an inspiration for you on the British independent scene?
Definitely. Even in just wrestling, I hold him to such a high standard as one of the best. And I think he's only revolutionized wrestling.
Would you argue he put British wrestling back on the map again?
Yes.
How much has, I know you touched a little bit upon it earlier, how much has that finisher and the viral moment that came from it, how has that changed your career? Has it given you more opportunities? What have you found since, since it?
I think it just aided to me getting so much more opportunities and just to be almost people knowing me and knowing who I am just because of one move. It just helped me so much. Just so people already had an impression, like promoters, wrestlers, had an impression of what I do. Just by doing one thing. And it was so cool that I had that ability to just be known for one thing. That when I started to do, I obviously did other things anyways, but when I did even more, then it almost like became more special when you hit the thumb into the future every time when I wrestled.
How important is it for those promoters to kind of have that view of your ability almost and to see what you're capable of when you're after more and more opportunities in different promotions?
I think definitely it means a lot to have like that one visualization of what I can do. If that makes sense. I don't want to say it in like a cocky way at all, but it's very nice to have someone have an impression of you before you've met them.
Last question on the finisher. It caught the attention of a certain tag team, didn't it, in the States?
Yes.
The Young Bucks used them in a match on Dynamite. Talk us through what that felt like.
So, again, like, people were telling me that, like, you have all the right to be annoyed. They're using your thing. But for me, I was just super happy that I kind of had a situation where they seen something I've done.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that was the only realization. And then Will put it up on his Twitter there. And I almost thought it got another 200k views in moments, really, just from doing that. And I mean, 200k in that day. And it just kept on evolving because they did it. I was getting more views for my version. And again, just like I grew up watching the Young Bucks wrestle on
Yes.
PWG and New Japan, and when AEW started. So for me to see them do something that I've done, it was just super cool. Especially because I look up to them as one of the best tag teams of all time. So to see them do something, it really, really, really does warm my heart in the sense of I've done something good.
Were they one of the people that reached out, or
They
did
didn't actually reach out, the Young Bucks. They
Okay.
didn't actually reach out.
but just to have the acknowledgement of your move on
Yeah.
Dynamite was that extra special for you?
Yes, definitely.
You are nicknamed the Futurist. We are gonna take a little look into the future for a couple of minutes. What do you kind of see as the dream? What is there a certain promotion that you want to end up in? Is there potentially a certain wrestler that you want to wrestle? What do you kind of see as the end goal for Leon Cage?
So for me, the dream has always been where it started it, and my first ever memory of wrestling is WrestleMania. So to wrestle on WrestleMania would be like the biggest dream of all time.
Yes.
And even just to wrestle as my life and not need to have a job and have a wrestling career, and I can support the family and have a very nice living, just not wrestling, and being signed to a company would really be the dream.
Who out of we kind of mentioned a couple of the up and coming wrestlers in the Welsh scene earlier. Is there anyone that you tip for big things in the future? So any ones to watch for you? Brendan mentioned you as a ones to watch. We're going to ask you the same question. Who do you?
I'm gonna not like change the question at all.
Okay.
But I think everyone. Because you never really know what can happen. Like for me, I didn't know my move was gonna go viral the same day that it did, and it sort of just changed in a second. So I think anything can really happen, and we should never obviously should keep an eye out for everyone.
Of course.
But if we can watch everyone and see everyone do really good things and support everyone, I think everyone has a place in wrestling.
Of course. Jack, you have a penultimate question?
For my penultimate question, I know we're still so early on in the year, but I was just wondering, what are your plans for the rest of the year?
Ooh. My plans for the rest of the year. I say this all the time, just to enjoy the wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, really just to enjoy wrestling and just to ride the wave in the sense of whatever comes up and whatever happens, just to be happy where I am and to do what I do best on my best ability. And the main thing is just for me to enjoy it and for everyone around me to enjoy it. Because if we're all enjoying it, none of us can complain.
How important is that enjoyment of wrestling and almost enjoyment of when you're in and performing in your matches?
It's key. It's very, very key. And I think that's something that we're taught by our coaches is that if we don't enjoy it, why are we doing it? Because we do this for what we love. And it's something that we've all wanted to do for our lifetime. Whether it's just something you want to do because you just want something to prod along with, something because you just like watching it, something because you just want to be fit. We all love it for a certain reason. And that reason should just be that we enjoy wrestling as well.
I know Jack said penultimate question. I've got a couple more for you. We know WWE at the moment are running an ID program. We know that
Yes.
obviously AEW are always on the lookout for talent. For someone like you, do you see that opportunity to potentially go into the big time major wrestling companies? Do you see that as being
I
a
hope
little
so.
bit? Do you?
I hope so. That's something that I absolutely love to happen to me.
Mm,
I mean, to wrestle for WWE, AEW, to be on TV wrestling
Yeah.
is just a key.
mm.
And I mean, it is the dream. It's the dream.
Do you
So
see that?
hopefully,
Do you see the
hopefully,
opportunity being a little bit easier than, say, 10, 15 years ago now, thanks to
yes,
the ID
yes,
program and things like that?
definitely. Definitely. I think they've made it so much more viable for us now, especially with our training and how big the British independent scene is,
Mm,
that we have so much more options to be seen,
mm,
that I think it's a lot easier. Whether 10, 15 years ago, they didn't have these options, they didn't have these footage to be seen on
mm.
a global stage.
Last one from us. If people have listened and enjoyed and want to find out more about yourself, where can we find you on social media?
Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, whatever it is,
Mm.
just Leon Cage. Some of them have an underscore. They will all be there, and everything about me is on there since I first started wrestling all the way through.
Leon, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you. Hopefully we will get you on the podcast at some point in the future. And yes, thanks for coming on. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure, and hopefully big things in your future.
Yes, hopefully so. Thank you very much for having me.
Awesome. Cheers, Leon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.